Hey guys, King Kaiju here. Today we're going to be doing another Kaiju review, and today's review is on the Ultra Monster Bemular, the very first Ultra Monster actually that appeared in the very first episode of Ultraman. Now while this figure is pretty heavily sought after, and it is very important because again, the very first Ultra Monster, there's a few things about it that I think are not very good, and to some extent I think the negatives kind of outweigh the positives. It's not a bad figure, and I don't regret getting it, especially for a very good price. But that being said, does it have some very glaring issues? Yes. And let's get right into that in the detail section. So the very first thing that I want to talk about, and especially whenever it comes to detail, is the fact that Bandai decided to give this figure an incredibly heavy gloss coat. Now I do have the flash on my camera on, but that being said, even without that, the figure is just very shiny and it's not the most appealing thing to look at. That being said, the details that are here do look really nice. The scales are all individually sculpted and they look really good, especially with that gold paint delivered on them. The face has a lot of good detail on it, although the paint is not doing it any favors.
The face is very derpy looking, but that's just because the suit looks that way, nothing against Bandai.
The paint on the nails, however, that is something that Bandai fully had control of, and yeah, they look gross. They're just white globs of paint, and the toes are the same way. I wish they would have painted them individually. You can only get that on the teeth, I guess. The eyes also, the pupils aren't painted in. I'm not exactly sure why these ones aren't, but it is what it is. The back also has a lot of green on it, which I don't remember this being a part of the suit, but they could have possibly done that. I don't know. Either way, it doesn't look too terrible. Yeah, for what little paint is on here, it looks okay, and it is serviceable. Just that gloss coat, man, it is very ugly.
As for articulation, he has 4 points, but they're not the basic 4 that you usually expect.
He has some head articulation, and you can notice that it's very stiff, and that's because the joint is actually molded in with these spines right here. Rotating the head is incredibly difficult. The arms can move though, which is the bare minimum I would say, and I'm glad that they are able to rotate. And the tail can also rotate about 360 degrees. Thank you, cat. I guess with the body proportions of this monster, it's fine, but still. Moving him to the side, we'll get into sizing, and I'll start off by showing him next to an Ultra figure. Let's go off with Ultraman Cosmos, because this is probably the most standard looking Ultra I have. This is actually really good sizing. Probably the highlight of the figure, honestly, is the fact that he does scale well next to a lot of other figures. He's taller than the average 6 inches. He's probably about closer to 7. So Bemular being bigger than Ultraman here actually works really well. I have a few other classic Ultraman figures as well. Here is Gamora, for instance. They look pretty good next to each other too. Gamora was about as tall as Ultraman was, so him being shorter than Bemular makes sense. And then finally I have Twin Tail just for the hell of it. I actually have to readjust my camera here to get them both in frame, but they look okay next to each other. Again, Bemular is taller, which is fair, that's how it should be. And moving him back in the middle, that's going to conclude my review of Bemular here. Like I said at the beginning, this figure overall is fine, it's passable, but out of my very good reviews that I've been doing in the last couple of them, this is probably the most mid one that I've talked about so far. The paint is passable, the detail on it is okay, but just that gloss coat, man, it is really hard to look at. The articulation is fine, although I would have maybe liked something at the legs to get an even 6, but 4 is fine. And the sizing is probably the best thing about the figure because it is a taller Bandai model, so overall I would say that if you can find him for like $30 or less, I would pick him up. He is a very important figure, but does he definitely deserve an update? Yes, 100%. Thank you all for watching this review, and I will see you all in the next video.